It's not unusual to hear that we all get up at midday.
I woke up at, as I usually do. For some reason, everything has changed. Like, we sleep at 2 a.m. We out
Why
of bed
isn't
at
that so
midday.
bizarre?
It's so bizarre.
And by the time you look up, it's already 5:30 and you're wondering,
Yeah.
you get that shock, like, where has the day
Yeah.
gone? But then you're
Yeah.
up, like you said, till 2, 3 in the morning. I mean, I talk to people on social media at 3:30 in the morning. It's just so strange.
Jesus.
So I don't even know what that is about.
How's everyone's sanity at the moment? Like,
Yeah.
she was feeling like she's vacillates between sanity and insanity and semi-sanity. And I was like saying to her, but even our bodies, even the way that our bodies are responding to this is different.
And that's hard for a lot of people, right? Because for all our lives, we've worked according to a schedule that was generally accepted by society as a whole. And now here are our bodies telling us that, actually, I don't like that schedule. So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite, how that works. But if that happens, that means even when we go to work, we don't have to go at 8 o'clock anymore.
Like, it would be silly and also counterintuitive, because especially for those organizations that have always been about, the physical body in the office. Now they would have had an opportunity to do this for over a month and be able to still run and to go back and say, well, actually, I want to see you clocking in at this time and leaving at this time. It's just going to be ridiculous, right?
And I think what this time has also proven, I mean, I hear a lot of people who work in corporate saying to me that they're having so many meetings on Zoom, at least for the first 2 weeks of the lockdown, and then it started dissipating a bit. What we have realized is that meetings can be so useless because we abuse the physical bodies are there. And somehow we must just always be talking.
Because we've had to redefine what work is, right? We have to redefine what work is not the same thing as output. It's not the same thing as adding value. So we think, because I'm talking to someone and we in the same organization, or the client or a supplier, I'm working. You're not. Actually, working is the thing, the outcome of, it's the product or the outcome of whatever has put you together. So if my role as a lawyer is to give you an opinion on something, we actually don't need a whole day meeting.
Right.
We don't. Right. I will send you my opinion without having to Zoom for a whole day. So I think the world is ridding itself of fat and excess.
Yes.
Because we've been hanging on to these ideas and things that have made us feel secure or given us perceptions that we're actually working or we're being productive. And the world is saying to us, less is more. It's ridding itself of, all these ceremonious things that we do.
Don't you find that the millennials in your workspace kind of latched on to this new reality anyway?
What is also happening is that the conservative industries or corporate generally prides itself with levels, right, and of authority,
hierarchy,
and having seniors not too accessible to juniors, right? What's happened now, I've had to have my candidate attorney send me voice notes on my WhatsApp because it just works better on WhatsApp as opposed to doing a whole formal email. All of this unnecessity has become even more unnecessary.
Yeah. And I think it'll shock a lot of people that come from, and now we can speak of old world and new world. Those who remain stuck in old era, all the pomp and the ceremony and the need for self-importance that is awarded by hierarchy, degrees, study, and all of that, is that in new world where millennials play, it's about delivering value. And they're not locked down to value can only be delivered between 8 and 5. They are actually, why are we doing this? And if a bright spark hits at 2 in the morning, I'm going to communicate with Bulelo that, oh my God, I think I solved the problem we were having during the day.
Absolutely.
And that kind of flexibility, I think, allows us to be more human in the workplace.
That's it. Because we also, we walk around as titles. We walk around as you were saying, multiple degreed individuals.
Yeah.
But the world does not need that. What the world needs now is your humanity. So it's actually incumbent on each and every one of us to be real with one another more than ever.
So 2 questions. I mean, you're someone who's very senior in your workplace, but if you observe your colleagues, what is it about us that keeps us hidden behind our titles and that feeling, that need to feel important?
I think it's a grave insecurity. In my industry in particular, the law practice field, it's all about how well rated you are. So it lends itself to people questioning their value all the time.
Right.
It lends itself to people saying, well, am I really this great? Am I going to be as respected as, person A or person B in my field? It breeds self-doubt naturally, because what you're actually selling, you're selling your brain. That's what you're selling. You're selling because your opinion has a value. Your value is your hourly rate. And your hourly rate is determined by your experience in the field, your expertise. Because value is attached to such finite things such as, money and all of that, you often then find 2 types of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one who will hide behind all of that so that they are not accessible to be found out about who they truly are.
Right.
It becomes a safe space to hide behind the persona.
Right.
So often, being a lawyer is also, it's got to do with theatrics also, how well you speak and how well you present yourself, how compelling you are to clients, how you string your words together. So it's also theatrics. So all of that lends itself to people acting.
Right.
Often, and wearing a mask and wearing a persona. And you often find people in the field who'll be known as the bulldogs, because of the aggression. Why is it that people do this? It's because then the less accessible you are and the more your perception precedes who you are, the better it is for you, because that's what people are going to believe. They're going to believe a persona. And now the flip side is, if you take away the garments, the gowns, you stand the risk of being found out. Maybe she's not that smart. Maybe there's nothing special about her. Only condition is that bulelwa must be bulelwa.
Do it on your terms. Isn't that incredible? Because that way you're actually secured through this period of transition, because I bet you people have connected with the individual and have learned to trust that in you. Where you're just selling your brain, there's always the risk that somebody's smarter than you,
of course,
first of all. But I don't think it's a far-fetched concept to think that people actually resonate with people. They buy things, products and services, in your case, from somebody that is trustworthy and obviously credible. With attaining that level of satisfaction in your career, I mean, recently you headed up the
Presidential Land Reform Panel.
Right, and undoubtedly you would have seen the most vulnerable people in our country who have real stories that attach to that land, and it's not just a transactional thing where we're just redistributing wealth just because we have to or we need to. But I think what's important when I hear your story is that you brought who you are to the profession. So for you, it has been a beautiful collision of self-expression and bringing value to a well-established profession, right? There are some people, and let's not be hard on lawyers, but for a lot of people, you kind of show up at the job. It's the job, you do the task, and then you wear the uniform so that you can theater and be in character, so that you get ahead. Because let's face it, companies are shaped like a pyramid. Only a few people get to the top, and you will wear whatever mask you have to wear to get to. But I think that's going to change. I was so excited when the president, and I want to quote his words, he said, "As we emerge from this crisis, our country will need to undergo a process of fundamental change and reconstruction." And
I wanted to ululate when he said that.
I did. I was like, gosh, this time where we literally get to rewrite the rules.
Right.
Because I think previously we existed as mere shadows of ourselves, and we were so good at masking so we can fit the profile, and we attached value to the most things. We attach them to things and not the intrinsic value that we all bring. And I think now, when the gates open, people have to find that intrinsic value.
We've been so complacently in this system that we didn't create, that was clearly not working for all of us, where we were miserable, but we were just kind of rolling with the punches. And meanwhile, bits and pieces of us were getting eaten up because, let's face it, it's not working. It was not working. Listen to this quote that I saw earlier from Mama Judy Ngasana's Instagram. It's exactly what she was saying. But listen to how beautifully it's said. It says, we will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding. Hoarding is my big thing. Hate and lack. We should no longer return, my friends. We have been given the opportunity to stitch a new garment. One that fits all of humanity and nature.
Wow.
How incredible is that?
Wow. That sums it up probably the best way I've heard it.
So let's stitch this new garment and let's not leave anyone out.
Because why should we leave out? I think we've lost so much value. We've lost so much opportunity to propel the entire country forward because we were very selective as to who gets to participate in the economy and how they participate. When they participate, on these terms.
And who and which voices we must listen to.
Yes.
I'm part of this very exciting book project. It's got to do with the land question. And one of the issues that we think that answers are always going to come from Harvard or professors. Why do we not find out how women in rural areas, women who are domestic workers, are able to take their children through universities? How do we not find out how women who work the fields in rural areas are able to keep themselves sustained and to have food?
Yes.
So I'm saying to myself, why are we so obsessed with the idea that origination and ideation, it's that idea that every voice matters.
Yes.
Every voice matters. And there's a learning hidden in spaces and in places and from people that are just othered.
And you know what? The president actually touched on that when he said the answers post-COVID are going to come from us, right? Yeah. He said, we are going to innovate. And we have so many examples, just like the ones you've mentioned, of how inventive we are, because innovation comes from a place of less. From limit.
Adversity. When your back is against the wall.
That's when you're most inventive. So it is a misnomer why all of our solutions have always come from developed countries, from the West, and from us. And yet, I absolutely agree with you that we actually have all of the answers. We just have to be brave enough as we stitch this garment together to start looking for answers in places we never thought possible.
People are going to be more open to have these conversations and not to be so fearful about, well, I don't have the answer, because we want to have answers, right? So when you start asking these very, very problematic questions that are uncomfortable, that discomfort also comes from not having I don't have an answer. You ask, so what do we do? I don't know, but let's work it out. Let's think about it. Let's design, let's knit, let's stitch that garment that is going to work for all of us.
I think you might find a much easier landing place post-COVID, because literally now we are all sitting at home shedding a lot of fat, beliefs, things that we thought we knew and things that we lived by that were true for so long. Now the phase of questioning. Well, is it true? And then later we'll start saying, so
Yeah.
how might we do it differently? Hoping that South Africa takes this very seriously, because I think right now we're terrified about the prospects of, you know, what life looks like beyond this crisis. And I think we're terrified because we're used to having the sense of security that the old world provided, because so much was predictable. It was clear
Yeah.
that if you do this,
Yeah.
you know, it was a very cause and effect type of relationship. And
Yeah.
it's not, the dots are connecting from any angle and every
Yeah.
angle, but it's a good place to be. And I keep saying to
I
people,
think so.
you can now actually ask the questions and you can go
You,
look for the answers.
it's a collective narrative, and so it becomes even safer to ask the questions that you've always wanted to ask, but you were too scared because the narrative was not the right one in that boardroom. So suddenly we're now given this leeway actually to not know, but to also ask the very difficult questions. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is going to look like. There's also things that I now know for sure, like because there's nowhere to run. This is also a moment of truth,
Yes.
because what is going to be heightened even more than ever. However painful the truth might be, or however affirming, it still remains a moment of truth. And I think that's a gift. That's a gift, because also you're now more than ever selective about who you allow in your space,
Yes.
whether it's a Zoom call and who you converse with. And it's also enriched conversations, because no one has time for niceties or
Small
just, you know,
talk.
kind of small talk.
There's
It's
too much
not,
going on for small
you
talk.
know,
But
no.
yeah, but thank you for sharing your thoughts. What I loved about this conversation is that it was not orchestrated.
Scripted.
It wasn't scripted at all. We just went with you know, the feeling that came up, and I think your insights were going to be useful to a lot of people. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Having
I
a
missed our hangouts, but yeah, post corona.
will be. So I'm gonna sign out. Thank you so much.